Hit it. There we go. Good morning. Welcome to Senate Commerce, everyone. Before I start, I see we have a wonderful guest today, and I'm reminded of a few words. And a greeting for you. May the road rise to meet you, the wind be at your back, and may you be in heaven a half hour before the devil knows you're dead. Anyways, welcome, sir. Senator Bradley, good morning.
Good morning.
If you'd like to introduce 477, sir.
Yes, good morning, Senator Gannon, members of the Commerce Committee. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here. Jeb Bradley from Wolfboro Senate District 3. And with me is a really good friend of mine who I've gotten to know through a couple of NCSL trips, Senator Mark Daly from Ireland. He's one of the leaders in the Irish Parliament and has single-handedly, I think, created the Irish American Legislative Caucus, which many of us are members of here, and is here today to help introduce Senate Bill 317. In one of the trips that I went to Ireland on recently, Mark and I spoke about legislation that had been filed in New Jersey and in West Virginia that created a New Jersey and West Virginia Irish New Jersey, Irish, West Virginia Trade Council. That's what this Senate Bill 317 seeks to do. Mark, I think, will talk a little bit about how important the relationship is between Ireland and the United States. One of the things I've learned is that in New Hampshire, 20% of us, myself included, I think Senator Gannon, you said the same thing, hail from Irish descent. It's really an amazing fact that I was not aware of until this trip to Ireland. The reason for this legislation is Ireland is one of New Hampshire's biggest trade partners, about $400 million of product today without any trade council go back and forth between our countries from New Hampshire to Ireland. So it's very important to our economy, and I think Mark will talk about the importance of it to his country. There are almost 1,000 major U.S. companies that have big presence in Ireland, companies that we've all heard of like Facebook and Google and LinkedIn and IBM and Microsoft and Apple and HP, many pharma companies, drug companies, medical technology companies, finance companies. The Irish economy is a very vibrant economy, and we should be doing everything that we can to facilitate trade relationships between our countries. Ireland is the 9th largest investor in the United States. One of the things that is so vital for us today, with the advent of Brexit, the Irish Republic, where Mark is a senator, has the relationship with the European Union, but through Northern Ireland, has the ability to involve obviously the British side of Northern Ireland. At the trip that my wife and I did this summer, we went to Belfast. Progress is being made. It's hard won. It's difficult. Trade is an absolutely essential part of helping heal the Irish divide, but also important for stability in Europe and stability in America. So that's the background of, why we are here. As I said, New Jersey and West Virginia have already passed this. I will be proposing an amendment when I filed this legislation. We didn't actually have in our possession at the time the legislation from West Virginia and New Jersey. It's important that we make it crystal clear there's not an appropriation that's going to be required to run this trade council. Rather, the Trade Council will be given the authority to seek and raise money to be able to pay its expenses. That's one of the amendments that I'll propose, as well as the purpose behind it. So what you see in front of you right now is bare bones. I will work with you, Mr. Chair, and the members of the committee on those amendments, the language I have from the other two states, so it will be very easy to put together. But I think at the end of the day, having a New Hampshire Trade Council with Ireland will enhance our ability to leverage products like this, maple syrup, and obviously we're all familiar with some of the Irish products that are here on the table, but there are many, many, many more. And our ability to enhance trade relationships, I think, will be very helpful to both Ireland and our country. So without any further ado, let me introduce Mark Daly.
Thank you, Senator Bradley. Welcome, Mr. Daly.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you for having me here today. It's a great honor to be here as my ancestor, General Sullivan, was a governor in New Hampshire, and his grandfather left Ireland during the Elizabethan and Cromwellian conquests. America offered him the opportunity that he would not have received at home. And the links between Ireland and the United States go back all the way to the struggle for American independence. General Sullivan was with George Washington in the crossing of the Delaware and at the Siege of Boston, and then had an interesting political life here as governor, U.S. senator, and served in the state in roles including the Attorney General. So it's great to be back in the place where my ancestor found the opportunity to reach his full potential. The links between Ireland and the United States of America are long and enduring. The struggle for Irish independence 100 years ago, in our equivalent of the American Declaration of Independence, the 1916 proclamation, there was only one other country mentioned by name in it, and it's America, where it said, supported by her exiled children in America. That struggle for independence would not have succeeded to the extent that it did without the support of the people of the United States of America. There are people alive in Ireland today because the US got involved in our Good Friday Peace Agreement, and we celebrated that anniversary, the 25th anniversary last year. And the US not only got involved, but stayed involved quietly and assuredly, helping both sides to ensure that peace is maintained. And this year, and I think it appropriate that the Senator brings the bill this year, particularly because it's the 100th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between Ireland and the United States of America. The first Irish ambassador to be appointed anywhere in the world was appointed to the United States of America. And as the Senator has outlined, the bill came out of a trip to Ireland. We all hope you'll come visit us sometime. I know it's election year, but at some stage in the future, because the New Jersey American Irish State Legislators Caucus came to Dublin, went to Northern Ireland, and then drafted up the Ireland Trade Commission bill, which talks about, as the Senator has outlined, the provisions of the bill. It also includes an educational element where university exchange programs could take place, where you could appoint members, and each state is doing it to fit their own purpose, people from the University Higher Education Authority in the state, to build on those educational links between university departments and student exchange programs, so that Irish students would come here and US students could come to Ireland and get that experience. But it's a two-way relationship, and that's what we want to point out, that it's not about bringing US companies to Ireland and using Ireland as a gateway to the European Union, as 950 US companies do, to a market of 450 million people. The American Ireland Chamber of Commerce does great work, and any company from New Hampshire can learn from them on how they can access that market of 450 million people, as well as how we would like to see Irish companies basing themselves here in New Hampshire and taking advantage of the opportunities that you have It's not that big a journey from here to Ireland, and we hope that this would be a great basis. New Hampshire and the New Jersey caucus. Nothing like a good idea, Mr. Chairman, when you see it being borrowed. So while New Jersey drafted the legislation, West Virginia passed it before New Jersey did, and the governor signed it into law on St. Patrick's Day last year in West Virginia. And as a result of that, my great friend and colleague Sean Fleming, who is the Minister of State at the Department of Foreign Affairs, he went to West Virginia, and we found out that he was the first Irish minister ever to go to West Virginia in 100 years. And the reason that he went, and invites have now been issued to other Irish ministers, and they are going to West Virginia this year. So 2 visits in the space of 2 years, when there hadn't been any in the previous 100, would show that there are real tangible outcomes in relation to building a structure that would increase the relationships, not only economically, but educationally, and at all levels within Ireland and within New Hampshire. So I'm delighted to accompany my Minister of State to that visit to West Virginia, and hopefully he'll be back here at some stage in the future.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions? Go ahead, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Mr. President, for submitting this. My question is really based on the commission is established, but there are no duties or charges given to the.
That's what I said about the amendment. So hopefully that will be spelled out better in the amendment. I will get that to you.
Thank you.
I did. So one thing I was always jealous on Ireland was you had a long time ago. I'm getting long of hair, sort of like the secondary there. The enterprise zones. Remember when you had free enterprise zones? Long time ago, and it brought in a ton of businesses. Then you had it was a 10-year enterprise free zone to attract digital and all these other companies. How did you keep the companies, and did you after that?
Well, I suppose it's a bit like what New Hampshire did. You invest in people and you invest in education. So over 68% of Irish students go to some level of third level education. So we don't have natural resources. So we had to look at other ways. And now, educating young people is one of the key parts of Ireland's success. Sure. But the key element was being membership of the European Union. We are a small country. We're not a big market. But the fact that Irish companies, and by extension companies based in Ireland, have access to that European Union market makes a big difference to the long and ongoing success of Ireland's economy. But it's been a long time in the making. Sure. And different policies change, they change over time. The free enterprise zones can come and go because of changes in policy, but it's really about investment in people. And that's what gives you the long-term success.
Yeah, I'm always very jealous of your education system and the fact that my cousins were all principals or lawyers, it seems. And I believe you're the most highly educated country in Europe at the moment.
Yeah, and that has been a policy like since the foundation of the state and before that, because we're very conscious that whether and bear in mind a lot of people left Ireland, but they at least left with the education that the state or Ireland was able to provide at the time. But that ongoing investment is very important to us.
Very good. And the most important question is, how's the hurley team looking this year?
Well, hurling this year, I can tell you one thing: Kerry is not going to do well this year in hurling. Okay. But I tell you, your home county of Galway will probably be there or thereabouts. But I don't want to disappoint you. I don't think they're going to win the All Ireland. Sounds good. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming. We appreciate the bill. Thank you, Senator Bradley. Thank you, Chairman. After 6 o'clock. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you again. Wonderful to meet you, sir. Thank you. Do you want to move this along today? Okay. Sure, that's fine. Question. Can you doing? Can you just?
We're just going to take a 2-minute recess. Thank you. Okay, at this time, I'm going to close SB 317. We're going to move to SB 325 and welcome the Honorable Senator Fenton. How are the cars selling? Senator?
They are doing well. Thank you all so much for having me. I didn't know I could bring back. Bill 325, which would establish a committee to study the issue of insurance appraiser licensing. And the reason for this bill is that we are seeing a disconnect between the damage of appraisal of vehicles and what is actually going to cost to fix the vehicle. Auto damage cost analysis has become a highly skilled profession because cars are more complicated now. They are essentially computers with 4 wheels. The cars also have to be rebuilt to spec to meet manufacturer guidelines. We have metal alloys that need to be worked on. We have computer systems, safety systems. They're very complicated. And when you're rebuilding your car, you don't want things missing. In some cases, we are seeing underpayment of the actual loss. What that means is the auto body shop does the work to make the car new, but the payment for the damage said, the payment for the damage doesn't adhere to the specific specifications of what OEM requires. So one way to fix this is to look at licensing insurance appraisers. This way, the appraisers are not potentially influenced by the insurers who hire them, and I'm happy to take any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Chairman? No, I saw your hand going. Judge? Geez, you can
Wow,
really
thank you
easy,
all so
Senator.
much. I got to come here more often. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much for your testimony. I'll try to get this right. Steve Pispanen. Welcome, Steve. How you doing? Good morning.
You don't know what I'm talking about here. I'm a body shop over here in Keene, New Hampshire. I also own a car rental business, real estate. It really upsets me that the insurance appraiser or appraisers in general that are related to insurance claims are going unregulated in the state of New Hampshire. The insurance department has told me in writing specifically they do not regulate insurance appraisers. I don't know if that just entails appraisers of motor vehicles, artwork, real estate. But in general, the insurance department is leaving the appraisers open to do what they want at free will. They're not held to any code of ethics, standards, or anything.
In my hand here is a copy of the appraisal standards that is endorsed by Congress, it's endorsed by the state of New Hampshire, it's endorsed by the National Insurance Commissioners. Unfortunately, our insurance department does not recognize this document, this book I have in my hand here. As a body shop owner, I see cars come into my business, collision damaged vehicles. Customers come into my business on a daily basis, walking in with appraisals in their hand from insurance companies. It could be photo appraisals. It could be an appraisal done by artificial intelligence. Every one of them is underwritten by the insurance carrier or their hired appraiser. Their hired appraiser could be one of their employees. More than likely nowadays, it is going to be a company that is hired outside the insurance company that will try to generate an appraisal by a few photos supplied by the vehicle owner. These insurance companies in the state of New Hampshire are funding these appraisal companies, in my opinion, to underwrite the claim. And that's the sole purpose that they're doing it for. You read the reviews online of these online appraisal companies, and they're horrendous. I don't understand why an insurance company would spend millions and millions and millions of dollars to prop up one of these photo appraisal companies when they're doing such a horrible job to the New Hampshire consumers, to the consumers across the country, doing a disservice to everybody. These insurance companies make it appear that they're helping the consumers out, when in reality, they're hurting everybody. They're not paying fairly on their claims. When they don't pay fairly on the claims, that means the consumer either A, has two choices. Either they pay the additional out of pocket to the repair shop, or the repair shop just takes the loss, takes the hit to try to keep everybody happy. It is unfortunate that that's what is happening. Or the shop has the right to go take the insurance company to small claims to collect that money that is owed on the claim. But the courts are so tied up with with COVID and being delayed with other things, it takes 2 to 3 years for a body shop to be heard to collect on a debt on a small claim. I'm going to court on Thursday to collect on 4 deadbeat claims from the nation's largest insurers. And it started 2.5 years ago to collect that deadbeat claim. And it all started because of a photo appraisal. It's horrendous that there is no regulation in New Hampshire. The insurance department, like I said, put it in writing. I can give you a copy of the letter they gave me. I have gone to the Attorney General's office. They refer me back to the insurance department. I've been to the governor's office, who refuses to respond to my concerns as a repair shop owner, as a consumer. It just floors me what is happening in this state right now. Currently, the New Hampshire Insurance Department won't even respond to my concerns, inquiries about my concerns as a repair shop owner. I have to submit them as a consumer. You know, it's sad. It's a shame. I don't know what to say anymore, but it is a shame when you see these appraisals come in. I got one here that just came in the other day from Allstate. They wrote an estimate for $1,400. At the end of the day, they ended up giving up $5,000 plus on the claim. They were still shorting my customer out about $500. I got another one here the insurance company started off at $400 and something on the claim. 6 appraisals later, they finally get their number up to $6,000. This happens on a daily basis. Daily basis. We shouldn't be, and body shops shouldn't have to be doing this fight for our customers, and the customers shouldn't have to doing it. If vehicle owners don't have a clue how the insurance process works, they shouldn't be involved in it. The insurance company should be honest and straightforward right up front, and they're not. Yesterday, I had an insurance appraiser, a so-called independent appraiser, told me that he uploaded his supplemental appraisal to Vermont Mutual Insurance. Any additional changes would need to be approved by them. Why would an independent appraiser have to get approval from his insurance company to do the right thing? This is an ongoing problem. There was the 1963 consent decree was signed by the federal government with the major insurance associations to cut this crap out. It stopped for a few years or a few decades. Back in the 70s, going into the 80s, it just ramped right back up again. I believe back here in New Hampshire in 2007, I think there was a bill proposed for the same thing to regulate appraisers. I don't know why it got shot down. I wasn't involved in it. There are already laws on the books to correct this problem. The problem is nobody wants to enforce them. There is an appraiser fraud law on the books, and that is governed by the attorneys, or enforced by the Attorney General's office. I was in court about a month and a half ago on a short pay to collect on a debt. I think it was, anyway, so it was against one of the major insurers. The local district judge told me that I cannot pursue a fraud claim against the appraiser because it has to start at the Attorney General's office. There is laws already on the books according to insurance laws that is an unfair settlement practice for an insurance adjuster, insurance adjuster, agent, insurance company to intentionally underestimate a claim. They underestimate probably a good 90% of the claims. They do not look at these so-called appraisers being self-employed or employed by the insurance company's independents. They don't look up the repair procedures. They have no reason to look them up because they know that there's going to be nobody overlooking them to do the right thing, to include the proper repair procedures, to pay the proper cost for the materials. I don't know. Something needs to be done. I don't see any harm to set up a study committee to look into this serious issue. It is harming the New Hampshire citizens drastically. The citizens shouldn't be coughing up money for their repairs when the insurance company's already promised them that they're going to pay the cost of the repairs according to the insurance contract. On a liability claim, the insurance company's already claimed responsibility. They should be paying the bill no matter what, no questions asked. Other states in the country, for instance, Connecticut has come across the same issue. They have come up with some laws that I have here. They got it pretty simple. And it can be done, it's done in other states. It can be done in New Hampshire as well. It's not going to increase insurance rates to do the right thing and help out the New Hampshire consumers. Right now, it's the wild, wild west on auto claims in the state of New Hampshire. It all starts with a lack of and derelict of duties from the insurance department and going up from there. I hate to say it, but that is fact. They will probably come up here and say otherwise, but they have nothing to prove, no facts to support their reasoning to neglect their duties.
Thank you for your testimony, Mr. Bisbannon. Does anyone have any questions? Seeing none, thank you very much for taking the time out of your day and giving up some revenue to come here. Appreciate it.
Can I leave these with you?
Yes, right over there. Thanks very much. Dan Bennett. Mr. Bennett, how you doing today?
Sir.
Could not be better.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I will be brief. My name is Dan Bennett, President of the New Hampshire Automobile Dealers Association. We're a trade association representing the motor vehicle industry, about 500 businesses, car, truck, motorcycle, snowmobile, ATV, construction, farm equipment, and collision repairs. We have about 60 collision repairers, franchised and independent, big and small, in all corners of the state. The collision industry is one that's long faced some pretty steep challenges, some significant challenges. Struggling to find a new and evolving workforce is a daily struggle. We have a collision repair program at National Community College, but trying to get butts and seats is a real challenge. So between that, fair reimbursement for work done, body work, mechanical work, paint and materials, repair procedures, which you heard about, all these things that are required to restore a vehicle to its pre-loss condition, because that's the deal you make. If something bad happens, your vehicle gets restored to pre-loss condition. All of these are critical issues, as is the one of accurate and appropriate appraisals. We believe this study committee is a valid one. It's a critical one to expertly assess and figure out how to repair that damage so that this vehicle is safely repaired. I mean, this is a 3,000-pound thing in the other lane coming at you going 80 miles an hour. It needs to be properly, safely repaired as it was designed and built by the manufacturer. It's a consumer's second largest purchase outside of their home, so it's critical that their investment is restored. I hear from shops all the time about the issue of appraisals and about the supplemental repair process, which has become a norm. It leaves the customer in rental cars much longer than expected. Extended delays, increased costs. As Mr. Pispin mentioned, sometimes they're borne by the customer, but then sometimes they're also borne by the shops. So we just don't think this whole delayed negotiation appraisal process is the most customer-friendly and the most business-friendly approach. So we hope that you find this study committee valid. It's worthy of taking a look and seeing if there's some ways to make improvements that probably could benefit all, right? Collision repair is a three-legged stool: the carrier, the repairer, and the consumer. So let's not have a discussion to see if we can find some way that can improve the system and potentially come up with some mutual benefit for all. So we would just hopefully request that you would support SB 325 and see what the committee comes up with.
Thank you, Mr. Bennett. Does anyone have any? Yes, Senator.
Good morning. Nice to see you.
Good morning.
It's more of a comment. And it definitely appears to be a problem.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. I hope he's okay. I hope he gets repair. Sure. I'm sorry that's taken so long, but you're right. You're actually 100% correct that it's all too common.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Bennett. Does anyone else wish to testify on this bill? Seeing none, I close the hearing.
Not him.
Oh, I thought it was him. I thought he had a nervous tick. I was getting worried about him.
Underneath.
Thank you. Awesome. Getting me worried there, Dan.
It's not me.
Okay.
Somebody trying to make a whole thing.
Peter. Am I taking this up for Senator Carson? She had something. Oh, I do. Oh. You're losing weight, Senator. I can hardly see you. Senator Carson, come down. I'm opening Senate Bill 333. Good Senator Carson is here to introduce the bill. Good to see you, Senator. Thank you for loaning me your glasses. I had shanghaied someone else's.
Oh, you didn't want to wear pink ones?
No, I would have worn them, but no.
Oh, come on,
Good.
Senator Gann.
Thank you, Senator.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, and good morning, members of the Senate Commerce Committee. For the record, my name is Sharon Carson, and I have the pleasure of representing Senate District 14, comprising the towns of Londonderry, Hudson, and Auburn. And I have this morning for your consideration Senate Bill 333, relative to access to financial services for minors in legal custody or guardianship, and relative to the board of directors of mutual banks and mutual holding companies. As many of you have probably heard me speak before, I've been very involved with the foster care system here in New Hampshire, making improvements. And one of the things I learned a few years ago was that foster children couldn't get a bank account. And it's something that I think a lot of people just really do not think about. But I do want to just say for the record that I am the president of the New Hampshire Foster and Adoptive Parents Association, and this is something that the organization does support. But in conversations, I reached out to the Banking Commission probably about a year ago and started having conversations, and I'd like to publicly thank them for all their hard work on this piece of legislation, because they realized that this was also an issue. We know that foster kids sometimes can have a very difficult time, and it just bothered me to no end that a foster child who was working at age 16 couldn't cash a paycheck on their own. They couldn't establish a savings account for themselves, or they couldn't establish a checking account. And one of the things that these kids are really interested in is financial literacy. They want to learn how to manage money. Some of them even want to learn about retirement. How do I start saving for retirement? Which is great at this point. But this bill does two things. It enables a minor over the age of 16 who is in legal care of HHS, foster care children, to open a checking or savings account at a bank or a credit union, and it permits state chartered banks to have a majority of directors residing in New Hampshire or neighboring states. The first section of Senate Bill 333 resolves challenges faced by foster care youths who may have a job and look for ways to manage their funds, but do not have an adult in their lives to co-sign to enable them to open a checking or savings account. The second section of the bill assists state chartered banks in appointing qualified directors who are in close-knit communities along the border. And Senate Bill 333 was developed collaboratively with the banking industry and the Department of Health and Human Services and Banking Department, respectively, on each section of the bill. Mr. Chairman, at this point, I'm going to conclude my testimony. There are a lot of folks that are here that can answer your questions much better than I can, that are here from the industry. So I would thank you very much for your time and your attention to this matter. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your testimony, Senator Carson. Have a great day.
Yeah, you too.
Jeff Fletcher and John Williams, do you want to clap together? Awesome. Good morning, gentlemen. How you doing?
Chairman Gannon and members of the Senate Commerce Committee, good morning. For the record, my name is John Williams. I am the Legislative Director for the New Hampshire Department of Health and Services, and with me today is...
Good morning, Jeff Fleischer, DCYF Director.
And we are here in full support of Senate Bill 333 or 333. And we're here to answer any technical questions you may have about the bill. A special call out to the New Hampshire Bankers Association because they very thoughtfully worked on this, not only to help us shape the language that you see before you in Section 1, but also to bring in the banking industry itself, its members, to participate and embrace this potential legislative matter that is needed. As you look at the legislation in Section 3, there are a couple of pieces that we do want to thank again Senator Carson as our prime sponsor, and also Senator Gannon as our co-sponsor, and Senator Whitley. It's certainly a bipartisan bill that it does recognize the need for allowing children 16 years or older who are placed in either foster care or other types of placement within the state to be able to get a banking account or a savings account, as the case may be. I think Senator Carson outlined the reasons and rationales for the need for the legislation very clearly. As a matter of some detail in the bill, we were very thoughtful in making sure that if children were receiving types of resources beyond that from their employment and beyond others, that there would be language within the legislation that would allow for a very thoughtful observation over any public assistance that that child may be receiving. So therefore, there could be limits set as part of the arrangement for the amount of assets within that checking account so they would not go over income resources for purposes of receiving other assistance. The details are likely going to be very important to work out. That's why the bill also establishes rulemaking authority for the department to come before the Joint Committee on Administrative Rules to work out those specific details. This is a wonderful bill. And again, just wanted to thank the prime sponsor, Senator Carson, the New Hampshire Banking Association, the Department of Banking, who actually acted as a resource to a wonderful attorney who works for the department. Her name is Attorney Lori Young. She's watching us via YouTube this morning. So a special call out to her for her work in looking at other jurisdictions. And this is actually modeled after the state of Missouri in terms of the language presented. So I just want to thank you, Senator Gannon, and members of your committee for your thoughtful consideration of this bill. And I do want to ask Director Fleischer whether he has additional comments, because certainly this is a very beneficial bill programmatically to his Division for Children, Youth, and Families.
Yeah, thanks, John. Just to simply thank Senator Carson, who's really been a real champion for our kids in foster care and at DCYF in general. She approached me when I first came on board about this bill, and I was very excited about it. So, as you know, one of our challenges is preparing young people who may not have families to really prepare for adulthood. In most cases, they're cut off at 18 years old. And we're trying very hard to have an array of services to help them beyond that and to prepare for their graduation from the system, if you will. It's no easy task. They need so much support. And I think this is is really a great addition and a great gift for the kids if we can pull this off. So again, thanks to Senator Carson, and we're fully in support of this bill.
Thank you both for your testimony. Does anyone have any questions? There you are, Dan.
Thank you.
Thank you both. Christy Merrill and Jim Kirsch, either or. Good morning. How you both doing today?
Good morning.
Good.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the Honorable Senate Commerce Committee. My name is Christy Merrill. I'm president of the New Hampshire Bankers Association. And with me today, I'm happy to have Jim Kish. And Jim is the president and CEO of Passumpsic Bank. New Hampshire Bankers represents 40 member banks who employ nearly 6,000 employees. We are here in support of Senate Bill 333. Senator Carson has done an excellent job of explaining it, as has Health and Human Services. So I don't have too much to add, but I do want to thank Senator Carson for bringing this issue to us. This is not something that we were really aware of. We worked with Jim and some of the other members of the New Hampshire bankers to try to have a non-legislative solution. But unfortunately, we are here today because we do need a legislative solution. This is very narrowly tailored. My understanding, HHS could speak directly, but my understanding is that the entire pool of foster kids is around 1,000. And the ages that we are talking about between 16 and 18 is around 400. And this is really coming from that subset of children that are working and they want to set themselves up for financial stability. And so I think this is a really wonderful way to do that. So we do have written testimony that I'll submit, but I wanted to just add that point to you. And then I did want to turn it over to Jim Kish, who has a few words about supporting this as well.
All right, thank you. Thanks, Mr. Chair and Senators. I think there's three things that I want to talk about that I think are germane to this topic from a banker's perspective. I did some research that was funded by the Ford Motor Company Foundation, the Annie Casey Foundation, in the early 2000s. And what we looked at is the underserved in the United States of America. And what we found was this linkage between poverty and prosperity, and it ran across this line called wow, now I can't think of it. It's the credit cycle. And so what it is we start as transactors. We're cashing checks. We get a check from our grandmother and so forth. And we take that to the bank or we have that cash. You're purely a transactor. The next step, it's called the credit path. The next step in the path, which is critical, is you become a saver. And this is really important and fundamental, is that you put a little bit aside for larger purchases. This is really important. Saving for a college education, it's critical. And then you become a borrower, because at some point buying a house, you can't do it fundamentally with savings. And then finally, at the crown of this path is you become an owner. You own your house or you own your own business. The interesting part about this is that you can't leapfrog this reliably. You start as a transactor, you go to saver and loans, but no one becomes an owner from being a transactor. And the earlier that you get into the system in that path, and you're taken care of, and you're sponsored down that path, the more odds you have of being prosperous. And so we think it's really critical from an academics perspective here is to support a group that has already some disadvantages and to make sure that they get in the path. And we want to do that. We think this is a highly lucrative market, because if you're in the mission of helping people in New Hampshire, there's an underserved group that needs this kind of help. I think also that's germane to this is that what we see in folks that aren't in the system and are underserved is they're taken advantage of. They're taking advantage of people that charge lots of money to cash a check, or worse, they become kind of a victim because they don't know where to turn, and the folks that are helping them with the funds don't have their best interest in mind. And so we want to make sure that never happens, particularly this group. And I think that what's also germane to this is that we've already talked to the FDIC, our primary federal regulator, and said, this is what we want to do. And we're a highly regulated industry, see this particular need and have said, we'll bend, you tell us what we need. They put a loose kind of framework in here, but we can work with them. But we have clearance from the federal regulators that they're behind this, and they want to work with us to make sure that we can put the proper controls, but putting the foster children in the driver's seat here. Thank you. That's all I have.
Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Do I have any questions? Go ahead, Senator.
I just have one, and my apologies for stepping in a bit late. I was at another hearing, but Senator Carson may have addressed it, but the portion of the bill that deals with the mutual banks, could you just speak to that issue and the need for the change?
Yeah, sure. I will just say that the title of the bill is not accurate. When we had originally looked at some language, we had looked at amending language that dealt with the section of the law regarding mutual banks. When you look at the statute that it amends, it's not the same statute. Right. So that title is a little bit, is not the most accurate based on the changes that have been made. But basically, this is another provision that Senator Carson was kind enough to include that deals with banks. Today, they're required to have the majority of their directors be from New Hampshire. What we know from some of our other federal regulators is they require directors to be representative of the communities that they are in. So for some of our banks that are along the border that are very tight knit, it gets a little close in terms of the majority and the makeup of that board. And our members they're very, as Jim said, they're very heavily regulated, and they're expected to have certain talents and certain skill sets they bring to the board. And this would allow them to be able to continue the skill set that they're going after and not be disruptive to their board makeup.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I might have a question, but I'll talk to you about it another time. Thank you.
Okay,
Seeing
thank you.
anyone else? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank
for your
you.
testimony. Does anyone else wish to testify on this bill 333? Seeing none, we'll close 333.
Well, look at this. Senators Gannon and Senator Sousa.
Oh, excuse me.
Where's the list? All right, we'll open the hearing for Senate Bill 332. Hello, Senator Gannon. Switching sides across the table here.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good to see. What a good-looking committee. Wow. Good morning, Senator Shardy and members. For the record, I'm Senator Bill Gannon, representing Senate District 23, known as the Wine Country. I'm here today to introduce 332, limiting redisclosure of consumer reports requested in connection with a credit transaction involving an extension of credit secured by real estate. This is an issue that was brought to my attention by the Mortgage Bankers and Brokers Association in New Hampshire that needs to be addressed. Currently, when a consumer applies for a mortgage, many entities can purchase that information, which results in consumers being bombarded with hundreds of calls that confuse them and seek to lure them away from the lender they chose. The proposed legislation before you will ban that practice, but also leaves an opt-in provision for the consumer and also includes a carve-out for communicating with an existing customer. I should note that there is currently federal legislation that mirrors the proposed law before you. However, this practice is affecting our constituents now, and we cannot wait for the federal government to act. This is an important piece of legislation that will protect our constituents and consumers from potential harm by companies using trigger leads to misrepresent themselves. There are several representatives from the Mortgage Bankers and Brokers Associations behind me that will be testifying to current practice and its problematic nature. I ask any questions be deferred to them. Thank you very much.
Senator Susi, any questions? Okay, thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
Wow. The chair will call Kurt Stranson. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Vice Chair and Commerce Committee members. My name is Kurt Stranson. I'm with the Mortgage Bankers and Brokers Association, and to my left is Steve Bauer.
I'm the Executive Director of the Mortgage Bankers and Brokers Association, and I'm here just to introduce the association, and Kurt will take over after that, and any other questions also. But I did part of my testimony. I just want to give you an idea of the scope of our membership. It's 70 member companies. They employ hundreds of New Hampshire citizens who reach out and they touch, the whole state base. And so this is an important conversation that we're having this morning, and I really appreciate the support of Senate Bill 332. Thank you.
So the premise of the bill, Senate Bill 332, is if a person was to walk into their doctor's office and the doctor told them they had high cholesterol, blood pressure, they can't sell that information to then have people solicit that person. You have HIPAA that protects your medical privacy. When it comes to credit in New Hampshire, we don't have anything that protects a consumer who applies for a mortgage at any of the institutions, whether it be a mortgage lender, credit union, community bank. Doesn't protect their privacy. And what happens is, just last night I was sitting with a consumer. I also own Pinnacle Mortgage in Manchester, and we pulled credit for that borrower to get pre-approved, and within minutes, calls are coming in from all over the place. They took the call, and they represented that they were working with us. It's in a predatory in nature, and in some cases, when you have folks that have language barriers or elderly folks, they get confused, and they end up taking some sort of higher cost predatory loan. In the state of New Hampshire, a lot of folks have come to us and they've raised concern that they think we're giving out their information. As a licensed and regulated entity, we're bound by Gramm-Leach-Bliley, which is like a 900-page privacy act, that we can't share their information. Yet the credit vendors that we're required to use are selling the fact that they came in and applied for credit as a lead, and they're being bombarded. We're fully in favor of competition. If someone wants to go to a lending tree or a bank rate and ask for offers of credit and ask for people to bid on their loan, that's there and able to do, but it's not in their control when they don't have the choice to ask for that. And then again, it's sometimes predatory in nature for folks. So we ask for your support today in favor of SB 332 to protect the consumers of New Hampshire. Does anybody have any questions?
Seeing none, thank you for your testimony. We'll now recognize Michelle. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Thank you. My name is Michelle Cretion. I am the owner of Empire Mortgage Corporation in Manchester, New Hampshire. This bill is so important. I had consumers that were immigrants. English was their second language. They called me and said, we don't understand how come our loan's not going. I said, we're still waiting on some information. They're like, we already paid the appraiser. We paid all this. Somebody went in acting like it was on our behalf and was not. So when you're talking to the elderly who are dealing with this and the English is a second language, it's really horrifying that we can't stop this. We're all competitors here, but we're all together banded. That's all.
Any questions from the committee? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you.
The chair will recognize Charles Dowd.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Wonderful. My name is Charlie Dowd. Good morning, committee. My name is Charlie Dowd. I'm in full support of the bill. I'm a member of the public, and I also represent the New Hampshire Mutual Bank Corp., which is Meredith Village Savings Bank of Walpole, and Merrimack County Savings Bank. This is an important bill. It impacts the lives of people getting a mortgage. And when you're getting a mortgage, you're under a lot of duress. Buying a house is one of the biggest things you do in your lifetime for most people. And to not have a clear and consistent path of who you're talking to and why you're talking to them is a challenge. The impact of these trigger leads is really, really stressful for people because they think I got breached. They think like somebody has all of my sensitive data. How did they get it? They immediately think it's the person that they talked to at the bank sold it to somebody. Think of like if you go to a restaurant, you use your credit card, and then you get 25 bills on your credit card from different vendors that you never used, right? It's a very unfair and very deceptive practice. It scares people. It creates a lot of anxiety when they're already in a high anxiety state because they're buying a house. So we wanted to put our full support behind this, and thank you for your time. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to address them.
Any questions? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other members of the public that would like to speak to this bill 332? Seeing none, we'll close the hearing on Senate Bill 332. And we will now open the hearing on Senate Bill 477. Good morning again.
Thank you, Chair Ricciardi. Good morning, committee. I'm here to introduce SB 477, establishing a commission to review and make recommendations regarding how the state of New Hampshire can support technology-based business startups. Funny they came to me because I'm probably not the most technology-based person, but they did. The New Hampshire technology sector is a broad-ranging and growing economic engine that does help the power of New Hampshire's economy greatly. Nearly 72,000 tech-related jobs are spread over 5,000 tech businesses with a direct impact of $11 billion. With an average tech wage of more than $94,000, the jobs are supporting our families, helping the economy thrive. And while the overall tech sector is strong, New Hampshire lags behind its neighbors and nationally when it comes to investing and supporting tech startup businesses. Startup technology businesses help provide critical innovation and enable the entrepreneurial spirit that defines New Hampshire's workforce. It is evident that lawmakers, businesses all need to come together to better understand how the state can partner with the tech sector, academia, and investors to identify the best ways the state can support startup technology businesses. By understanding these practices nationally and defining action steps, New Hampshire can better encourage an environment that will help create jobs and grow an already vibrant sector. There are members from the tech sector community who will be testifying after me, and I ask that the questions be deferred to them. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your testimony. Any questions?
Thank you, Senator.
Okay. We will recognize Julie Demers. Good morning.
Microphone. Could you turn on your microphone? Yes, there you go. There.
How about now? Great. My name is Julie Demers. I'm Executive Director of the New Hampshire Tech Alliance. The Alliance is a statewide technology association that represents nearly 250 technology companies, ranging from startups to leaders in our global economy. These 250 members that we cater to employ roughly 50,000 of those tech employers that Senator Gannon mentioned. Annually, we facilitate 30 programs that are aimed at fostering growth within the dynamic landscape of New Hampshire's technology sector. I want to extend my thanks to those that have sponsored this legislation already for recognizing the importance of exploring ways that we can better support the tech sector. So New Hampshire has a lot of advantages. We're not denying that by any means, that we can offer to startup businesses, including an educated workforce, quality of life, a business-friendly tax climate, and access to key decision makers. However, there have been multiple studies and reports that nationally rank New Hampshire incredibly low in comparison to other states as a place to grow an enterprise. CNBC, Wallet Hub, and the U.S. News and World Report rank New Hampshire 35th, 34th, and 39th out of 50 respectively on indicators such as venture capital investments, state-backed capital loan guarantees, health science and agricultural research grants, and the number of patents issued per capita. So we can speculate why this is the case, right? But a study commission will allow us to comprehensively map existing resources for entrepreneurs in the state. It will identify areas for improvement and promote initiatives that will strengthen our entrepreneurial ecosystem and consequently the overall economy. Building a robust innovation ecosystem requires collaboration from all stakeholders, and that includes public sector, private sector, academia, and it demands a long-term vision that transcends political.
Thank you. The chair will recognize Kyle York. Good morning, welcome.
Oh, thanks. Didn't want to do that. Thank you for hosting. So my name is Kyle York. I'm a technology entrepreneur, operator, and investor in the state. My career has been in and outside New Hampshire. I grew up here in Manchester. was a part of the leadership team at Dine. I was the chief revenue officer. Dime was a company that we scaled to about 500 global employees, about 400 in New Hampshire, and sold to Oracle back in 2016. I then spent about 3 years at Oracle as a general manager here based in New Hampshire. Spent a lot of time flying to Redwood Shores and Seattle and the West Coast to do that job. But very early in my career, I actually moved to California thinking that there wasn't tech jobs here in New Hampshire. I went to Bentley University in Waltham, Mass, got a degree in business, started working right as an intern in technology companies. And my first company was actually based in Bedford, New Hampshire. It was an education software business. I moved to California for that business thinking you follow the tech scene to Silicon Valley, and that's what you must do to be successful in tech. And honestly, that's what many mentors and contemporaries told me I had to do to be successful. So I was very fortunate when a high school classmate of mine from Manchester West High School called me and said, hey, we are building a company called Dine in Manchester, and we'd love for you to help us build our business. Obviously, that was a very great story. It's a very successful story. Dine raised over $100 million of venture capital and private equity dollars into the state. Alongside Dine, there was many great New Hampshire companies like Bottom Line Technologies, Newforma, Single Digits, Scribe Software, all startups that were started here and scaled here and did incredibly well. And there's been organizations like the New Hampshire Tech Alliance and many others that have helped support it. I believe now as a venture capitalist investing tens of millions of dollars a year in technology startups around the globe, that the state, albeit incredibly valuable and helpful to small business and Main Street entrepreneurs, has not really kept pace with how to help high scalable technology businesses. And that's really the delineation I think you need to look at. The state is very small business friendly, very entrepreneurial friendly. But when it comes to tech startups disrupting industries and building large employers with large compensation and very skilled workers, we are so far behind. And actually, you can look no further than the state of Maine and look what's going on up in Maine. They have incredible programs to bring incredible private sector investment into that state. They have programs for venture capitalists out of state. We see it a lot actually in Canada as well. We've done a lot of deals up in Canada. There's a lot of matching grants, just R&D credits, tons of different things and programs that have been really spearheading those economies. And so, you know, as an entrepreneur myself, as a venture capitalist myself, as someone who moved back away and back to New Hampshire and has built my career here, I'm really, really excited to see this bill and support this bill. And my firm, York IE, today is an advisory and investment firm for technology companies. So we've purpose-built our firm to help other technology companies and entrepreneurs scale their businesses. We have about 150 global employees, about 35 in the state. We have over 110 in India. We have a full stack software development office that we've created, York IE, APAC Limited in Gujarat, India, in Ahmedabad. We actually just signed a lease for 25,000 square feet there. And this is really a global stage we're now playing on for technology. One last thing I wanted to mention, and it's only apropos and it's funny to me, was the first bill today of the Ireland New Hampshire Trade Council. The IE in York IE stands for Investment Enterprise. Our website's actually york.ie, which is actually the top level domain name of the country of Ireland. I don't really tell this story much, but people ask why you don't use a .com and why is it a .ie and where'd that come from? Well, at Dine, our largest customer in the world was actually Amazon. And Amazon's infrastructure and technology teams were actually based in Dublin, Ireland. And you heard the commission or the representative senator earlier talk about Facebook and Amazon and Google and all the large technology players building offices in Ireland. The reason they do that is because obviously the highly educated workforce, which New Hampshire has, but also because of all the programs that they built 10 years ago, 20 years ago, to attract those employers to create great jobs in Ireland. So that was kind of an homage in our name. It was Dine's biggest client in the world. Amazon paid Dine $2 million a year to leverage our technology services that were delivered right from this state. So again, I think what it states, and I think the pandemic has really helped, is that you can build and scale a technology startup anywhere. You can build a technology career anywhere now in this hybrid work model. And we've just seen an influx of talent now viewing New Hampshire, Southern New Hampshire as a suburb of Boston and the great universities that are also there and looking to build companies where they want to live and where they want to work. And we have a great opportunity right now to capitalize. So appreciate, and I'd be happy to answer any questions or give you any perspectives from my seat as well.
Any questions from members of the committee? Seeing none, thank you for your
Great.
testimony.
Thank you.
Are there any other members of the public that would like to speak to Senate Bill 477? Seeing none, we will close the hearing on Senate Bill 477. Thank you. We'll take a 2-minute recess to see if we can go into executive session. Thank you.
Consent would save
All
us.
right, we will recess for 10 minutes and then reconvene to decide. Thank you.
Senate Commerce is coming out of recess. I ask for any motions from any senators.
I make a motion to go into executive.
Second.
Second by Senator Susie.
Okay,
And we'll start with SB 325. Do I have a motion or just any discussion first?
Move on to pass.
second.
Okay, so we have a motion of ought to pass and it was seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No one?
Move consent.
Second.
We have motion for consent. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Who's going to take it out?
Anyone want to take it out, the insurance appraiser licensing?
Yeah, I'll take it out.
Okay, Senator Innes will take it out. Great. Choo, 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 choo. Okay, thank you. 325, do I have a second?
On
333.
333,
Second.
second by Senator Innes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it.
Move consent.
second.
Motion for consent, all in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Who would like to take that out? Okay, thank you, Senator Chanley. Okay, SB 332, do I have a motion?
Ought to pass?
Second.
Okay, I have a first and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Okay.
Move consent.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Ayes have it.
I'll take it out.
Great.
Senator Ricciardi will take it out. And SB 477, do I have a motion?
Move on to pass.
I have a ought to pass motion from Senator Innes. Do I have a second? Second from Senator Shanley. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Move consent. Second.
Susie consent, second Innes. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. I'll take that one out.
Okay.
And I think that's all we have. We didn't see anything else that we were ready to pass today. So, okay, I adjourn commerce. So moved, second by Senator Shanley. All in favor of coming out?
Aye.
Motion to adjourn.
So
Second.
moved.
Commerce is adjourned. Thank you.